Today on Ian vs. Daddybones, we're talking Master vs. Hordak, Battle Armor He-Man, and opening up Too Bad.
Oh boy, kids, we're gonna have fun today!
Yay! Hey! Alright!
How is everyone doing tonight?
Welcome back. It's another exciting episode of Ian vs. Daddybones. I'm Ian Daddybones, and before we get started, I want to say what's up to all the Patreon subscribers, and I want to say hi everybody to all our subscribers over on YouTube. To everybody else, I ain't saying shit. Y'all need to get over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, because me and Buddy Misters, Dandy Manners, and Pops, we want to hit 1,000 subscribers so I can start monetizing this bitch again. I need ads, I need to make money off this channel, and at the end of the day, my baby boy, my favorite, my son that I love, he wants a silver YouTube plaque that we could hang on the wall so we could say we did something fresh with Ian vs. Daddybones, but we need all your help to fucking get there. So just head over to the channel, click the subscribe button. Even if you don't watch, just click the subscribe button. I even had to tell my mom, like, Mom, you got a YouTube app on your phone. But honey, I don't watch YouTube. Mom, it's okay, you don't need to watch YouTube. But just do me a favor, just go to Ian vs. Daddybones on YouTube, click the subscribe button, Mom, and just give me that number. I just need a little bit of your jersey on my YouTube channel. So just click the subscribe button and just give me a little jersey, Mom. That's all I want. Just give me a little bit of that jersey. And she did. She subscribed to the channel. She doesn't even watch the show, but she gave me the subscribe number. You can too. Just head on over, Ian vs. Daddybones, click that subscribe button. And on to the show. Today, we are going to be talking about Masterverse Waves 5, 6, and 7. And basically, so far, these are the waves that I need to get caught up on this year with my toy collecting and my purchases. Like, my radar is making my way through Masterverse Waves 5, 6, and 7. So, I was able to sample a little bit of each of the waves, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And it all started after Thanksgiving, when I was able to get Hordak on a Target Cyber Monday deal. But basically, with the Masterverse line, I am completely caught up and current with the first 4 waves, have the deluxe figures. I'm all set when it comes to the first 4 waves of Masterverse. Now, when I was waiting for the 5th wave to get released, I originally had them pre-ordered, but Amber and I ran into some car repair issues, so we needed to make sure everything was straight with the car. So I canceled my pre-orders for Wave 5 so we could take care of our car responsibilities, repairs, and bills. So I figured, I'll get Masterverse Wave 5 when I see them in stores, and I'll start going on toy hunts and taking my daughter Natalia with me so we can hit up Target and have some daddy-daughter time while we're looking for new He-Man figures. And also, too, throughout, the fall, I was getting ready for Mattel Creations and Mattel in general to give us some actual official Eternia news. So it was one of those type of things where I'm trying to crowdfund this holy grail of playsets, so I had to make some sacrifices. So the sacrifices I had to make in order to secure Eternia was I had to cancel my pre-orders for Wave 5, plus I had to cancel my pre-orders for Masters of the Universe Origins Wave 11, which is the Snake Men wave with Ratlore, Boltman, Snake Armor He-Man, and Cobra Khan. Those are also on my they're also on my list of shit to get this year to round out and stay current with my collecting. But basically, I had to make some sacrifices, canceled some pre-orders. Fucking here we are. So, as the fall became winter, and we were rolling into Thanksgiving, about to start the holiday season. You know, during Thanksgiving, that's when my wife and I started we started having some issues with our furnace. And by having issues with our furnace, we needed to have the furnace looked at. And when we got the furnace looked at, we were able to get the furnace back up and running again. But we were about to run into another issue with the furnace the following week. So at the moment, with the furnace working, I had no problem jumping on a Cyber Monday deal because Target had Masterverse Hordak on sale. So after clearing it with my wife, she gave me the double thumbs up, so go ahead and grab it. Grabbed Hordak, and I waited like 3 to 4 days for Hordak to show up, and I was all excited when the box showed up on the porch. You know what I mean? I was all happy that I got mail and Hordak showed up. Open up the box, and I was like instantly devastated and pissed because normally when you order from Target, and I've noticed that when I order shit from Target and it gets delivered, Target tends to send the air-filled bags instead of like back in the day foam packaging, styrofoam peanuts. You know what I mean? So normally the Target boxes have the airbags. This box had no airbags whatsoever. So this Masterverse Hordak box was all floating around on the inside. There was nothing holding it in place. It was just sliding around, not getting knocked around as it was shipped. And basically, the back side, the name, there we go. See, the name label side of the box was all smashed in and opened and sticking out like so. And now originally I had no intention on opening him because I bought, like, before we get started in Hordak. Hordak is a deluxe figure in Wave 5 of Masterverse. So these 4 main figures are the figures I need to catch up on, and they include Zodak, Catra, He-Man, and Skeletor, and the 2 deluxe figures for Wave 5 is She-Ra and Hordak. Now, with Wave 5, what's interesting about Wave 5 with Masterverse is Waves 1, 2, 3, and half of 4 were all based on the Masters of the Universe Revelation series that came out on Netflix. And so it was because you got this brand new Masters of the Universe Netflix animated series. They used that series as the opportunity to kick off this Masterverse line. So the first 3 waves were exclusive to Revelation, and when they hit Wave 4, that's when they introduced different sub-brands within Masterverse. Like for example, on the Hordak box, as you can see, they all got the same, black and blue box for Masterverse, but this has the Princess of Power She-Ra brand logo front and center to show you what brand this is within the Masterverse. And so on Wave 4, you had Classic Teela, you had Merman, and you also had New Eternia, Barbarian Skeletor, and Viking He-Man. So the Viking He-Man and the Barbarian Skeletor were the first figures in the Masterverse to have the New Eternia sub-brand. And New Eternia is original designs inspired by the classic concepts, meaning these are These are reimagined He-Man figures, Masters of the Universe figures, based on the original concept sketches that they did back in like 1979, 1980, 1981 when they were creating this toy line in the very beginning. So they're taking a lot of those inspirations that were basically left on the cutting room floor, some original ideas that were left inside a sketchbook for years, and they're being re-looked at and re-evaluated, and some of these concepts are being applied to these new reimagining of characters, and it's pretty fucking fresh, to be honest with you. So, the first 3 waves of Masterverse dedicated to Revelation. Wave 4 started opening up to other brands, starting with New Eternia. So now that we're in Wave 5 of Masterverse, we have officially 3 sub-brands within this wave of Masterverse figures, because She-Ra and Hordak are the first 2 Princess of Power figures within Masterverse. Zodak has the new Eternia branding. Catra, who's She-Ra's female nemesis, Catra has the Princess of Power branding, but the He-Man and Skeletor that are a part of this wave have the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe branding on the front of the box. So what this is actually He-Man and Skeletor from the brand new Netflix CGI He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series that's being aimed at children right now. Like, my 2-year-old daughter Sadie watches this show. I watch it with her. And my son Owen and my daughter Natalia have also, hung out and sat on the couch and watched this reimagined, rebooted He-Man series. And it's absolutely amazing, because last year I did stop by Walmart and I picked Sadie up some of the basic core figures from this new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe line. So I got her the Netflix CG He-Man, the Netflix CG Skeletor, Ram Man, Trapjaw, she's got Duncan, and she's having she absolutely loves those figures. And it's in her He-Man and Skeletor are in the same 5.5-inch scale as the Origins figures, so it's absolutely identical, same size compatibility as far as like play sets and whatnot goes. But in this instance, it's there's basic articulation with those figures. Like, the arms just move, the chest, the waist has the action feature like the 80s did, and they also have that chest that pulls back, so it kind of does like a headbutt. So there's like only like the 5 or 6 points of articulation on those basic $10 figures. But with the Masterverse version of that He-Man and Skeletor, you're getting the Masterverse size He-Man and Skeletor based on that Netflix CG series. And they just look fucking dope with the 30 points of articulation. And seeing that He-Man and that Skeletor in that standard Masterverse box, like, they just look like they're gonna burst out of that shit like the Incredible Hulk. It's absolutely dope. But that's Masterverse Wave 5. And the thing is, like, my Hordak box came all jacked up, banged up, and open. Where normal Masterverse figures come with additional hands, Hordak came with an extra hand, and he came with an extra claw. So the extra blue hand actually got knocked loose and was actually got knocked out of the opened end of the box. So that was floating around the target box. So I noticed that right away. And once I got this box opened and took out the plastic, the first thing I noticed is that all of the plastic snips that were holding Hordak in place were already cut. Not to mention the fact that the tape was already cut. And even more noticeable was Hordak seemed to be not exactly perfect in place within the plastic to tell me that not only was he snipped, but he was taken out of that plastic. So basically, based on my detective skills, they mailed me a Hordak that somebody already physically bought, took home, opened up, decided they didn't want it, brought it back to the store, and this is the Hordak that whatever Target employee decided to grab and throw it in the box with no fucking airbags and mail that shit to me. But the biggest thing that pisses me off the most with the fact that they mailed me somebody else's already returned Hordak is looking at this Hordak figure, and I'm going to get into it a little more closely in a moment, but on the side of Hordak, on the side of his armor, he's got like these fucking ribs that you can see in the gray plastic. He's got these ribs, and basically with this soft goods armor, the bone ribs, the flap of plastic was like folded over itself and shoved back in the plastic. So when I got this cold action figure in the mail and like took it out of there, like his bone ribs were all warped, and I couldn't even get the armor to properly fasten and connect. Now it is now because I was able to like hold it when we were having furnace issues and we were using we were getting assistance from one of the furnace the kerosene heaters. Basically, I was able to like hold the Hordak, not like, you know, super close, but like above it enough to where I could like at least somewhat try to mold it back to the way it's supposed to be, and got his armor on. And so long story short, I got a fucked up jacked Hordak, and I contacted Target, and Target within 15 minutes, honestly, of me emailing them, complaining and sending them pictures to back up my complaints and my claim, they gave me thumbs up that they were going to replace the item. But then an hour later, I got another email from Target saying that they're going to give me a cash refund, and the refund is going to be credited to the card on file that I use in 3 to 5 business days. So in like 4 to 5 business days later, the second Hordak shows up. Perfect condition, airbags in the box, completely tape sealed, all the plastic snips were in place, nothing wrong with it. It's as close to perfect mint condition, mint in box as it could be. They sent me a really good one, so I got that back at the crib, and I'm very impressed because basically in that email, when they told me, after sending them pictures, when they told me they were going to replace the item, they told me if I wanted to, I can either discard or dispose of the damaged product, or I can keep it. So for the purpose of having him out and on my shelf, especially after warming him up to room temperature and getting his armor in place as best as it could be. I mean, it's still looking a little warped and wonky on the one end, but especially when you look at the left side of his body with the armor, how it's all perfectly straight. You can see where this one's kind of wavy. But I gotta say, considering I have 2 Hordak figures in the Masters of the Universe Origins line, I got standard Hordak, evil of the leader of the evil horde, and then I got the variant Buzzsaw Hordak. He's got the gray skin tone with the black and white armor, and this Hordak with the blue skin is clearly, well, with the blue skin and the Princess of Power branding on the box. This is clearly the She-Ra Princess of Power version of Hordak from the Filmation cartoon. And I gotta say, this Hordak is absolutely amazing. I think he looks super sick. Now, I only had my vintage Hordak figure as a kid. I never even got a Hurricane Hordak or a Buzzsaw Hordak as a kid. I only got one Hordak, and that was the one I got as a child. And I loved the Hordak. I thought he was a great figure. But as I got older and other figures came out, like, they made the Masters of the Universe classic versions of Hordak. Because they didn't just put out one. They got the gray Hordak. They got Filmation Hordak. And I believe they also have I believe they also have Masters of the Universe Classics versions of the variants. Like, I believe there's a Masters of the Universe Classics Buzzsaw Hordak. But I wasn't in a position at the time to financially be able to participate in that shit, which is why I honestly love absolutely everything to do with this Masterverse line, because I didn't get to experience classics, and I always enjoyed watching as classics grew and continued, and they just kept adding new figures to that line. And now that this is available at retail, like, I'm just having a blast overall with between Origins and Masterverse. That having a Filmation Hordak is absolutely dope to me. He's got this amazing freaking cape that I'm gonna hold him up and try to show the cape. It's got the nice little cut pattern at the bottom. Like I said, he's got his blue arms. Including, let's see here. I don't have it inside the box. It's back at the house. But this Hordak came with a second arm because he came with two right arms, because right now you can see he has his cannon arm. Because Hordak in the Filmation cartoon, he basically kind of had the trap jaw gimmick with the arms, but he was also able to shapeshift in general. Like, Hordak could turn into like a fucking rocket ship if he wanted to, which made no sense, but at the same time it totally did, because it was a fucking cartoon and anything could happen in a cartoon. But basically, this Hordak comes with his trap jaw style gimmick arm that has his cannon hand, and he comes with the blast effect that plugs into his hand to make it look like he's shooting, and I just think that looks absolutely sick with the way it is. Now, he also has his Horde insignia bat shield, and he also has the Masterverse version of the evil Horde crossbow. And now, for the purpose of making him have the shield and be able to have his bow clipped, I actually have the bow upside down when he's standing and he's being displayed. Just so the two of them fit together on the one arm. But if you look at like the crossbow string on this, it's like, you know what? That just popped right off. But it's all red and gummy. So, like, looking at it, it kind of looks like it's blood, like congealed blood, or like all veiny and shit. So I think that's a nice touch on the and plus the eyes are red on it too. I think that's a nice touch on the crossbow bat, the crossbow bat. But I do gotta say, the only thing I really am not the biggest fan of when it comes to this Hordak figure is he's got like these like Donald Duck looking feet. Like, you know, he's all like he's all threatening and menacing on the upper half, but he looks like Kingdom Hearts on the feet. So I'm not really feeling it. But I guess life is like a hurricane, Hordak. But moving on from Hordak, And I do gotta say too, like I do like I mean I know I did say it. I got She-Ra as well, and I'm gonna be talking about her and opening her up on a future episode of Ian versus Daddybones. Because what I kind of like doing with the episodes is if I have the Origins figure opened but the Masterverse figure unopened, that makes a great character to do an episode about on Ian versus Daddybones. So that's kind of like a formula I'm kind of looking at going forward. But speaking of going forward, after Wave 5, we have Wave 6, and I gotta say, each wave when it comes to Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, each wave has been kind of special with the way with the figures that have been coming out. But as far as me using words like beautiful and gorgeous when it comes to a lineup of characters, I definitely gotta say Masterverse Wave 6 makes me say that the 4 of these figures in this wave are completely gorgeous and beautiful. But they include Sunman, the Masterverse version of Sunman, who I think looks absolutely incredible. And honestly, when I went to Target the other day looking for figures, I had my fingers crossed that they had a Sunman on the shelf, because my friend Andy Header got a Sunman, and he sent me a picture of his Sunman once he showed up in the mail. And compared to the Origins OG Sunman figure, the Masterverse Sunman absolutely does that character justice, and that is such a stunning, detailed, amazing looking Sunman figure that's going to be a part of Wave 6. Hero, legendary, unreleased, back in the day, vintage character. Hero. Basically, Hero was supposed to come out in 1988 when Masters of the Universe was going to reinvent itself and change its name to Powers of Grayskull. And Hero was going to be the new main character that wasn't going to replace He-Man, but he was going to fight alongside He-Man. And what they were trying to get across was He-Man is right now in the present, Hero is from back in the past. So there was some time traveling elements that were being introduced at the tail end of the original Masters of the Universe, and all that ties into the original Eternia playset, and even with the new Eternia playset coming out for the purpose of like rebooted, rethought out, redrawn out continuity for Origins. Like this is a big deal, especially on the watching Masters of the Universe Revelations and then seeing this toy line continue, and now Hero is getting an actual figure, because Hero was supposed to come out back in the day, because the Masters of the Universe movie shit the bed so bad and Mattel lost so much money, they basically just said fuck it, pulled the plug on Powers of Grayskull, washed their hands completely with Masters of the Universe, and just kept on moving and just focused on Barbie and Hot Wheels and everything else, you know, like Brave Star and shit, and fucking Captain Power and everything else that fucking Mattel wanted to do. But but now with Revelations, they found a way to officially put Hero in the cartoon, to officially, you know, establish Hero as officially existing canon-wise within this story. They also have Jitsu added as a character in Wave 6, and with the new Eternia, because also too, going back real quick since I'm on Wave 6, basically Sunman has the Rulers of the Sun branding on his Masterverse box. Hero has the Revelations branding on his Masterverse box. Jitsu has the new Eternia branding. So we're getting a reimagined, updated version of Jitsu. He was the villain. He was the villain with the metallic, golden Infinity Gauntlet looking chopping hand, and so Jitsu's got a Masterverse figure, and the final fourth main figure is who we're going to be talking about right now. Battle Armor He-Man, or as I like to refer to him as, Hunter Hearst He-Man, with his Triple H looking ass. I gotta say, back in the day when I was a kid, I had He-Man, I had Skeletor, and then there came a time where they came out with a new He-Man and Skeletor. And they were battle armor, battle damage, whatever you want to call it, He-Man and Skeletor that came with these special torsos that had this rolling drum mechanism in the chest that basically was a bigger version of a play feature that Mattel had in Hot Wheels cars for the Crash'ems or Crack'ems, whatever they wanted to call them, where you could take your Hot Wheels car and smash it into your other Hot Wheels car and your door's gonna flip to make it look like your car's all crashed on the door, or the front of the car will flip to show your front end all smashed up, or your bumper and whatnot. It was a really popular gimmick in the 80s. Like, I wasn't much of a Hot Wheels kid, but I wanted those fucking Hot Wheels cars that had the crash and smash up features and shit. So, since I wasn't really into Hot Wheels that much when I was young, and I was into He-Man, the fact that my He-Man figure now had that crash 'em play feature, was more than enough for me. So, basically, I got Battle Armor He-Man, I got Battle Armor Skeletor when I was a kid, and it was iconic because He-Man had his gray battle armor, but he had the iconic orange H on his chest, and it was all clean and nice. And then you hit it, and it rolled, and it had like one crack, and then you hit it again, and it rolled again, and it had like the double crack, double damage. And the same thing with Skeletor, only Skeletor's was purple and black, and he had this green and purple bat on his chest for his insignia. So, they basically kicked off what would become a trend for Masters of the Universe figures, and that's the He-Man and Skeletor variants, which have since evolved in modern times with multiple character variants. Like, you could have gray Birdman Stratos, but then you could have naked skin tone Stratos that's based on the mini comics version of Stratos when he first appeared, even though they also make the Avion Palace Guards look like naked Stratoses. So at the end of the day, it's a Stratos variant, but it's also, to me, the Avion Palace Guard. The naked Stratos figures are army build figures, or at least that's how I look at them. But anyway, going back to this, with the whole thing of Battle Armor He-Man having the new Eternia concept, there's a little story and a passage on the back panel of the box. You can see the dope ass artwork that shows Battle Armor He-Man standing on a rock, and he's got his hair blowing back, he's holding his axe, he's got his dope ass armor, and there's monsters like Skeletor's Skeleton Warrior is right there, and there's a purple-headed monster that's not really identified as like a character other than a generic monster. But the passage reads as follows: Battle Armor He-Man, most powerful armor in the universe. Donning his powerful battle armor, General Adam sailed farther than any ship in the Eternos Armada in search of the mythical Isle of Grayskull and the legendary Power Sword. Upon finding the sword, he says, "I have the power," and transforms into He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. So, based on what I just read, and there I'm going to put it on the side too so you can see the side panel. the Battle Armor He-Man art. Basically, with the way he's presented and the way he's dressed in this armor, they're making it clear that this version of He-Man is actually Prince Adam, while he's a member of the Palace Guards, the Royal Eternian Army. So this is Adam as a soldier, and he's wearing his battle armor as a soldier, which has me thinking that the other Palace Guards are also donning this type of battle armor, and they're making it clear that he's on his way to the Isle of Grayskull to get the Power Sword. So he just knows he's on his way to the Isle to get the sword, but I don't think he knows why he's getting the sword. Now granted, this new everything about New Eternia is going to come to life this year outside of the Masterverse figures, because Dark Horse Comics is doing a Masters of the Universe New Eternia comic book series, and that's going to be coming out soon. So I'll have more information about that on a future episode when I find out what's going on with that. So we'll probably get more information when that comic book comes out, because I do know that the Battle Armor He-Man, in the sneak peeks and like panels and pictures that I've seen online, have shown that Battle Armor He-Man will be involved in a few stories. And so this is basically Prince Adam before he became He-Man, when he's on his way to get the sword for the very first time. So looking at this figure, he's got this modern version of his battle armor from the 80s, because it was basically just a shiny silver painted top that had the drum barrel mechanism. This figure has a metal shoulder pad piece of armor on his left shoulder, and that's not connected to the actual armor. That's an actual separate accessory piece that's fastened around his arm. He's got the one thing I do want to point out real quick, I'll take it off. He comes with a shield, and the cool thing about the shield, and I'm gonna show that up for two reasons. I can show all of y'all at home what this looks like, and when I'm home editing, this gives me an opportunity to capture a sweet fucking picture to use as like a cover image or something for this episode. But basically, the shield that he comes with is actually based on a sticker in this very same shield shape that appeared on the Dragon Walker vehicle from the 80s. The Dragon Walker was this track vehicle that was like this dragon's head that fit on like these legs, and then you turned it on and there was like these threaded teeth that the thing would move against. And then when it got to the one side, the like legs would like flip around to the other side, and it'd basically repeat itself. I had one as a kid. I fucking hated it. I honestly thought this Dragon Walker was one of the lamest Masters of the Universe vehicles to me as a kid, and I think it was because it was one of those back in the day monster of 80s toys. Like, you don't understand. Like if you're a 90s kid, you only really had to worry about AA and AAA batteries. You know what I mean? But for us kids in the 80s, we were like the last generation that had to use the C and the D batteries. So like, I believe that fucking thing, that Dragon Walker fucking took D batteries. May have took C batteries, but either way, they didn't last long, and because of that, I fucking hated it. But I do gotta say, about the Dragon Walkers, it did have this sticker on the side it's iconic. It's the only thing that I remember liking about the Dragon Walker. was this H logo, because I always thought with the way they did this H, why wasn't this like He-Man's main chest logo instead of the Iron Cross and whatnot? Because I noticed that with the Battle Armor He-Man, he had that H. And the only other time you really saw that H was on this shield, and I believe it was a similar H that was on the Thunder Punch He-Man. But like I said, the original and this shield, unlike the 40th anniversary shield and the He-Man, the 40th anniversary He-Man shield and that Hordak shield, on He-Man's forearm bracer, he actually has a little hole, and the hole's made for a peg that's on the back of the shield. So the shield just pops into that hole. So it just hangs out there, and it's not bad. It fits. It looks pretty badass. And of course, he comes with it's He-Man, so he comes with another power sword. But the one thing I noticed is that this power sword has like white wrapping around the handle, and I just think that's an extra cool step. So he also if you look closely, he's also wearing this extra bit of armor over his thighs and hips. So that actually looks pretty badass. Let me move his arm, because on his belt, it's actually the lion head from Central Tower of Eternia. So I think that's pretty cool that the lion head is being shown. Now, the main difference between the 80s Battle Armor He-Man and this Masterverse Battle Armor He-Man is this Battle Armor He-Man does not have a play feature, so I can't strike that He-Man in his chest and make the drum flip, because there is no drum to flip. Basically, what they did, and I can't get mad at it. I can't get mad at this for not having the action feature, because they did the same thing with this Battle Armor He-Man that they did when they made Battle Armor He-Man in Masters of the Universe Classics. They did the same thing with this Battle Armor He-Man when they made the Battle Armor Roddy Piper in the Masters of the WWE Universe figures, because they basically what happens is you separate, this armor pops off, and that H on the center of his chest is actually just a plastic plate that's being held in place. So as soon as you take that armor off, I could just take my finger and just pop that plate out of the center, and I can replace it with the battle damaged broken armor plate, and choose whether or not I want him to be displayed with a clean armor or a broken armor. And also, that's where I call him Hunter Hearst He-Man, because when you see this guy on the shelves in stores, there's 3 visible H's on him at all times. He's got the H on his chest, he's got the H on his shield, and he's got the H on his second plate. So there are 3 H's at all times when you see that He-Man on the shelves in the stores. And another attention to detail that I really like. Now, unfortunately, it's not an active. At least I don't believe so. No, it's not pulling out. But he has the boot knife. The boot knife goes back in the day to one of the prototypes for the original He-Man. The Lords of Power prototype He-Man was going to have a boot knife, but then they decided to get rid of the boot knife at the last minute for production costs. So it's one of those type of things where fans appreciate it, and it's our way of being like, hey, whenever we see the boot knife. So the fact that He-Man's got a boot knife is super fucking dope. But like I said, Hordak is part of Wave 5. I got 4 figures to catch up on that. I have 3 figures left to get on wave 6, but I also have the Frank Langella and the Dolph Lundgren movie He-Man and Skeletor. And I'm going to throw it out there too to friends and family who know me. If y'all are out and about and you see Hero, whether he's full price or on sale, grab him, because I know that Hero has been sold out online whenever I've been trying to grab him. And anybody else I've been able to see for the most part, but I have not been able to see Hero anywhere. But that leaves us to what we got next, which is going to be what I plan on opening today on the show. I'm going to be opening Too Bad. And Too Bad was one of my favorite figures when I was a kid. My mother actually bought me Too Bad back in 1985. I got him for Christmas that year, and I got a hell of a story to share with my Patreon subscribers when I open him up. So we're going to take a brief break so I could record some bonus content for the Patreon subscribers. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon and you want to watch me open up Too Bad on this episode, then simply head over to patreon.com, Ian vs. Daddybones. Subscribe for 30 days for $1. Get access to the bonus content. At this point, we're 15 episodes into this podcast. I look forward to the next 15 episodes I'm planning on doing. And there's plenty of bonus content up on the Patreon, as well as additional extra content that I threw up on the Ian vs. Daddybones OnlyFans you can check out. That's also free. But with that said, let's open up Too Bad.
Epic Roast Guy. Roast Guy. Epic Roast Guy. Roast Guy.
Alright, we are back on Ian vs. Daddybones. We're going to wrap up the show in a minute, but there he is in all his glory. Masterverse, new attorney of Too Bad. And I gotta say, this character is absolutely sick. He was one of my favorites back in the day, and as I've grown as a person, went from child to adult, from son to father to grandfather, I've seen this figure come out in the vintage form, its 2000X form, its Masters of the Universe Classics form, and now Masterverse. And I gotta say, compared to what I have as a kid, this reimagined Too Bad is a fucking beast. And one thing that I didn't get to say on the Patreon bonus footage that I'm going to say to y'all right now, the cool thing I like about this Too Bad figure is the whole thing with the new Eternia line is its original designs inspired by classic concepts. So one of Too Bad's classic concepts in the beginning, the character was originally going to be called Schizo. And the original intention was there was going to be a good side and a bad side. And Too Bad didn't know what side he wanted to be. And I guess they got rid of that concept because I guess it kind of tied a little into Manny faces. Is he a man? Is he a monster? Or is he the robot? You know what I mean? So Schizo eventually became Too Bad. But the thing is, on the concept art, when they first made Schizo was wearing this chest armor that had this logo on the chest that this version of Too Bad is rocking on his belt. And it basically shows, like, trying to look at the X, but it's like a phoenix and a dragon. And is what the insignia is. And like one half is blue, and like the blue dragon and the purple phoenix, and it basically represents the two sides of Too Bad. But they decided to make that concept art original armor logo as a belt logo, and that logo is actually the double blade of his axe, which is pretty fucking dope. And he's got his two fucking maces, and his deluxe shield, and his armor that holds one of these weapons, even though I can't get it to fit in place because it's tight plastic at the moment, but hopefully I could get it to soften up with a hair dryer or whatnot to where I could get something to pop in there, because I can't even get one of the weapons in his hands right now. And but eventually we'll get there. But there he is, Masterverse, new attorney of Too Bad. I think it's fucking dope. One of my favorite figures of all time in this line. Trapjaw is at my number one on my list. He's definitely in my top 3. So with that said, hold on. So with that said, I am Ian Daddybones. This has been Ian versus Daddybones. And if you're new to the show, check out my socials. I'm on TikTok, Ian versus Daddybones. I'm on Twitter, Ian vs Daddybones. We're on OnlyFans, Ian versus Daddybones. It's great. I'm going on toy hunts and filming that and putting that up on the OnlyFans. I'll be playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge and posted footage of me playing that. It's fucking awesome. Everyone else is up there selling nudes and their boobs and shit, and I'm playing fucking Ninja Turtles. It's awesome. So y'all can head to the Patreon, subscribe for $1. You get 30 days access to all the bonus content that I produced for the show so far, and you're gonna fucking love it. So with that said, cheers, Pete!